Hey friends, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about 6 ways that I keep my sanity as an adult with ADHD. I really shouldn't say that, but that's seriously what it feels like. We're actually going to be talking about 6 ways that I stay organized with ADHD. So all my life, I've struggled with structure and organization. And I realized that I kind of got accustomed to not really having direction with my daily routine. And by the time my day was done, it left me feeling really unproductive and inefficient. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with adult ADHD, disorganization is a very common symptom. This happens to be directly related to a cognitive process called executive functioning. Executive functioning is what helps us establish organization, structure, routines, and strategies. And for those of us who have adult ADHD, we might find ourselves really struggling in these areas. Here's a brief description of adult ADHD from the Mayo Clinic's website. So many adults with ADHD aren't aware they have it. They just know that everyday tasks can be a challenge. Adults with ADHD might find it difficult to focus and prioritize, leading to missed deadlines and forgotten meetings or social plans. The inability to control impulses can range from impatience waiting in line or driving in traffic to mood swings and outbursts of anger. So I just want to say, if this sounds like you, do not panic. I'm not a clinician, I cannot diagnose, and me reading this to you is just simply educating you about what ADHD is. Definitely go see a professional if you feel like any of this is you, or you feel like you've struggled with these areas basically since you could remember. I still struggle with these symptoms today, but in the past, they've felt pretty unmanageable without a realistic course of action. I did end up seeking help from a professional therapist, and I decided not to be medicated. But with choosing to not be on medication, I still needed a solution that was practical for me to help manage these symptoms, especially like the disorganization, losing my car keys, losing my debit card, misplacing my wallet. These things have significantly affected my life, even though they may seem small. Like, when it happens all the time, it can literally drive you crazy. So I've experimented with other effective methods to help myself stay organized and declutter my mind throughout the day, which is what I'll be sharing with you right now in this video. Number 1, keep a to-do list and make it brief. This allows me to start my day with some direction, and it gives me like a mini itinerary to kind of look back at when my day is done. I can check things off as my day moves along, and I feel a really strong sense of accomplishment when I do this. And I make these lists brief for a reason, because I actually want to accomplish what's on it. So if your to-do list is constantly leaving you with leftover tasks, downsize the list. That does not make you lazy or inadequate. It makes you realistic. We want to keep it honest with ourselves when we're trying to change our lives, okay? Like, we want to keep it real. Like, don't make crazy lists that just don't make any sense for you or your life, or the lists just stress you out. Like, no. Set something that is realistic for you. And this will ultimately relieve you from constantly feeling like you can't keep up. Here's an example. So on my to-do list, I have 6 primary tasks. Understand that these primary tasks on my to-do list are not demanding for me. And my list can be adjusted for whatever needs to get done that day. And what you're actually seeing are the larger goals that I set for 2023, broken down into very small steps that make up this to-do list. So this list wasn't just made up, it was very intentional. And when I reflect on my year, I will notice all of my smaller steps have compounded into me actually achieving a larger goal. I don't make my list any longer than this, since having more than 6 items on my to-do list ends up leaving me in the leftover task category. And making my list brief also leaves room for spontaneous plans to pop up just in case. There's room for moving things around. Number 2, combat hyperfocus. Fight it. Fight that hyperfocus. Anyone can get lost in things that interest them, but it can turn into a problem if it constantly goes unchecked. I have a real problem with going down the rabbit hole on Amazon. My search starts with looking for kitchen appliances to skincare and makeup and clothes. Time doesn't exist when I'm on Amazon. And for you, maybe you can replace Amazon with something else you tend to hyper-focus on. If I'm not intentional with checking myself when it comes to combating hyper-focus, I can end up being left with no reasonable time to complete other primary tasks in peace. So I learned to set timers. And when the timer is done, so am I. I've had to be very intentional with respecting the boundaries that I've created for myself when I set timers. So here's an example. When it comes to working on my YouTube channel, I have a 3-hour block that I set every single day. I am done working on my YouTube channel or anything that has to do with this platform when I hit my 3-hour mark and that timer goes off. Mostly all my primary tasks on my to-do list are set up this way. Sometimes you want to finish working on something or you're very deep into a project and you just feel like,
I just need to finish this last thing.
You've set the time you've set to work on something for a reason. Respect the boundaries you create for yourself. Number 3, keep an old school calendar on the wall. Here's mine. Yes, I have iCalendar and other organization tools, but this calendar right here is what I need daily. Having an old school calendar or a dry erase calendar tacked on the wall is a really great visual reminder. It gets me in the habit of manually writing things down, so plans, events, birthdays are way less likely to slip my mind. And if you're living with family or a roommate or a partner, having them join in on this habit is a really good way to get them to practice the habit and keep everybody's schedule in sync. So for example, my boyfriend and I both participate in writing on our family calendar, and it's been a very big help for the both of us. Number 4, learn to say no. So remember the primary task to-do list that we talked about in step 1? In order to set myself up for success, I had to really prioritize my needs. That meant no more overcommitting to things that are going to constantly keep me from completing my goals. There are times that I make exceptions, but it's rare, and I'm very mindful of staying true to this. Here's an example. My friend wants to go to the movies at the same time that I have a workout scheduled for that day, and there's no other time in the day that we can link up. I'm gonna have to politely decline and see her another day. And real friends will definitely understand. But let's say I have a friend that wants to go to a shopping center for 45 minutes at the same time that I have a 45-minute walk scheduled into my to-do list. I could still get some steps in walking around the shopping center, so I would consider this an equal substitution. This is still fitting my goal of walking into my schedule. Number 5, declutter. If I don't need it or absolutely love it, I've learned to do myself a favor by getting rid of items that I no longer have any use for anymore. If I have cleaning listed on my to-do list for that day, I might combine cleaning time with decluttering time. A direct example for me would be getting rid of things I don't need while I do my 30 minutes of cleaning if it's necessary. And I do this by sticking to one room at a time. This is how I really avoid getting distracted while I clean and declutter. Number 6, cancel perfection. Looking at Pinterest organization boards can be super satisfying and something that you just look to achieve one day, and you very well might. But these things can also be really intimidating and feel like something we just can't really live up to. Understand that organizing is a skill, and it really takes time to develop that skill. As I learned, these skills have gotten stronger for me and have grown to become way more intentional over time. And this is simply because I'm learning what is and what isn't working for me. And you have already taken a really big step towards organizing your life by searching for resources to help you, like this video. So be proud of yourself for trying to learn. Understand that your first few attempts at any of these methods might not translate into your life overnight. And that's okay. Adjust, don't give up, and you are definitely not alone. I'm here talking to you about this because I've had problems in these areas of my life too. And I still do. Some days are really just better than others. But what keeps me motivated is knowing that if I'm blessed to see tomorrow, I know that I have another opportunity to try again. So thanks for watching. Please like and comment on this video if I've helped you out in any way. See you next time.